So wings of butterfly and wings of birds. So wings of butterfly and wings of birds, they look alike, right? They are not anatomically similar structure, but they perform the similar functions. So hence analogous structures are a result of convergent evolution, like different structures evolving for the same function and hence having similarity. So other examples of analogy are eyes of octopus and eyes of the mammals. So octopus and mammals, yes, or the flippers of penguin and flippers of and dolphin. Okay. So the similar habitat that has resulted in selection of similar adaptive features in different groups of organisms, but toward the same function. Another example is sweet potato, that is root modification, and potato, that is stem modification. Now proteins and genes, they have the similarities performing a given function among diverse organisms, give clues to the common ancestry. So these biochemical similarities point to the same shared ancestry as structural similarities among diverse organisms. Now man has breed selected plants and animals for agriculture, horticulture, sport and security. Now man has domesticated many wild animals and crops. This intensive breeding program has created breeds that differ from other breeds, example dogs, but still of the same group. It is argued that if within hundreds of years man could create, then why nature could not create? Okay. Now another phenomenon, that is like industrial melanism. Okay. So evolution by natural selection comes from the England, right? Now, so before industrialization set in, it's observed that there were more white winged moths on trees than dark winged or melanized moths. But after industrialization, there were more dark winged moths in the same area, that is proportion was reversed. Now why this happened? Because the predators will spot a moth against a contrasting background. So during post during uh, post industrialization period, the tree trunks became dark due to industrial smoke or shoots. Now under this condition, white winged moth did not survive due to predators, and dark wing or melanized moth survived. Before industrialization set in, uh, dark wing or melanized moth survived. So before industrialization, thick growth of almost white colored lichen covered the trees. In that background, the white wing moth survived, but the dark colored moth were picked up out by predators. Okay. Now the lichens can be used as industrial pollution indicators, right? They will not grow in areas that are polluted. So this is why they can act as a pollution indicators, right? So they can act as like so they can act as a hence moths that were able to camouflage themselves, that is hide in the background survived. Now, so in a mixed population, those that can better adapt survive, increase in population size. So can better adapt, they survive and increase in population size. So remember that no variant is completely wiped out. Now similarly, excess use of pesticides that we use against the herbs and pesticides that we don't want it. So excess use of herbicides and pesticides, fertilizers, has only resulted in selection of resistant varieties in a much lesser time scale. So this is also true for microbes against which we employ antibiotics or drugs against eukaryotic organism cells. So resistant organism cells are appearing in a time scale of months or years and not centuries. So months or years it takes to get resistance against we apply the antibiotics to these things, right? Now these are the example of evolution by anthropogenic action, that is man-made actions, right? Now this also tell like evolution is not a directed process in the sense of determination. It is a chaotic process. It's kind of complicated process based on the chance events in nature and chance mutation in the organisms. Even the chance mutation in the organisms, like anytime there is like there can be a mutation in organisms. Now what is adaptive radiation? So Darwin went to like Galapagos Islands, right? There he saw small black birds, later called the Darwin finches. Small black birds, so Darwin finches. Like many varieties of finches in the same island. Now all the varieties he conjectured evolved on the island itself. Okay, now from the original habitat was like original seed eating creatures, like they were eating this original seed eating creatures. Now many other forms with alter beaks arose. Okay, now alter beak arose, enabling them to become insectivorous. They are eating now insects and vegetarian finches, that is vegetables. So insectivorous and vegetables. So from seed eating habit they converted into insectivorous and vegetarian finches, right? This process of evolution of different species in a given geographical area, starting from a point and literally radiating to other areas of geography, that is habitat, is called adaptive radiation. Now Darwin finches is the example. Now another example, Australian marsupials, where number of marsupials they evolved from like a common ancestral stock, but all within the Australian island continent. Okay, so now when more than adaptive radiation appear to have occurred in an isolated geographical area, that is representing different habitats, one can call this convergent evolution, right? So more than one adaptive radiation in the same geographical area, the same isolated. Now the examples is placental mammals in Australia and marsupial. So placental mammals in Australia and Australian marsupials, okay, in Australia also exhibit adaptive radiation in evolving into varieties of such placental mammals, each of which appear to be similar to corresponding marsupial. This is okay. So they are showing each other like the convergent evolution, right? It's like two adaptive radiation, like placenta mammals and Australian mammals. So mole marsupial, mole anteater, that is numbat. Mole marsupial, mole anteater, numbat anteater. Mouse marsupial, mouse. Lemur, spotted cusses, flying squirrels, flying ninja, bobcat, Tasmanian tiger, wool, Tasmanian bull. So picture showing convergent evolution of Australian marsupials and placental mammals. Okay, so this is it, like placental mammal, then Australian mammals, right? Now biological evolution. uh, the essence of Darwinian theory about evolution is natural selection, right? The essence of Darwinian theory was the like natural selection. Now alright, okay, here one thing that is important, like adaptive ability is inherited, that we adapt in something during our lifetime. This is inherited, right? We can pass it to our children as well. Now it has a genetic basis. Now fitness is the end result of the ability to get adapt and get selected by nature. So fitness is the end result. So if you are fit, that means you are adapted to the nature and you are selected by the nature. That's the first thing. I mean that's the thing in here. So fitness, like first get adapted, then you get selected by the nature. So this is how you are fit. Now branching descent and natural selection are the two key concepts of Darwinian theory of evolution. So branching descent and natural selection, right? So branching descent and natural selection are the two key concepts of Darwinian theory of evolution. Now a French naturalist, that is Lamarck, has said that evolution of life forms had occurred but by the like use and disuse of organs. So example is giraffe, who in an attempt to forage leaves on tall trees had to adapt by elongation of their necks. So they adapted. So as they pass on this acquired character of elongated neck to succeeding generation, giraffe slowly over the years came to acquiring knowledge. But nobody believes this. This is kind of not true at all. So now a work of Thomas Malthus. So it was Valence, okay, that Valence. Now this is Thomas Malthus, that is who work on populations that influenced Darwin. So So work of Thomas Malthus on population increase Darwin. So natural selection is based on the novelty and brilliant insight of Darwin was this. He asserted that variations which are heritable and which make resource utilization better for few will enable only those to reproduce and leave more progeny. Hence, for a period of time, survivors will leave more progeny and there would be a change in population characteristics and hence new forms appear to raise. Okay, the novelty and brilliant insight of Darwin was this. He asserted that variations which are heritable and which make resource utilization better. So we get the variations, then they are heritable, and then okay, which make resource utilization better for few, then uh, uh, will will enable only to those to reproduce and leave more progeny. Okay, now mechanism of evolution. Now there is like Huggu-de-Vries. So what Huggu-de-Vries did, like work on evening primrose, that is Oenothera lamarckiana, idea of mutation. So large difference arising suddenly in a population. Okay, the mutation which causes evolution, these are not the minor variations and heritable, which said by Darwin. So mutations are random and directionless, while Darwinian variations are small and directional. Okay, now evolution for Darwin was gradual, while De-Vries believed that mutation caused speciation and hence called it saltation. So single step large mutation, right? So it's like the single step large mutation. So evolution for Darwin was gradual, while De-Vries believed mutation caused speciation and hence called it saltation. So single step large mutation. So studies in population genetics, like okay, now the Hardy-Weinberg principle, right? uh, okay, there is like frequency of occurrence of alleles of a gene or a locus. There is a frequency. Now this frequency is supposed to remain fixed in a population and even remain the same through generation. So Hardy-Weinberg principle stated it using algebraic equations. Okay, this principle says that allele frequency in a population are stable and is constant from generation to generation. Now the gene pool, that is total genes and their alleles in a population, remain constant. Now this is called genetic equilibrium. So sum total of the allelic frequency is 1. Now individual frequency, for example, like PQ and 2PQ. Now P square is like the frequency of a individual in a population is simply P square. Now P square represents the homozygous dominant frequency and small a that is homozygous recessive frequency, that is Q square, and heterozygous, that is 2PQ. Okay, so this is binomial experiment, P plus Q whole square. Now disturbance. Now when frequency measure differs from expected values, the difference, that is direction, indicates the extent of evolutionary change. The more the difference, the more the evolutionary change. So disturbance in genetic equilibrium or Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, that is change of frequency of alleles in a population. The change of frequency of alleles in a population would then be interpreted as resulting in evolution. Okay, so 5 factors are known that affect the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. So these are gene migration or gene flow, genetic drift, mutation, genetic recombination, and natural selection. Okay, so when migration of a section of population to another place and population occurs, the gene frequency change in the original as well as in the new population. Okay, Now new genes or alleles are added to the new population and these are lost from the old populations. Okay, so this is called like the gene migration. Now there would be a gene flow if this gene migration happens multiple times. Okay, if the same change occurs by chance, it is called the genetic drift. Sometimes the change in allele frequency is so different in the new sample of population that they become a different species. Now the original different populations in a new community right now becomes founders and they are the founder effect. Now natural selection is a process in which heritable variations enabling better survival are enabled to reproduce and leave greater number of progeny. Okay, heritable variation enabling better survival are enabled to reproduce and leave greater number of progeny. Okay, now the natural selection make it look like different population. Okay, so natural selection can lead to stabilization, right? In which natural selection can lead to stabilization in which more individual acquire mean character value. Okay, the mean character value like the average character value. Okay, the directional change, so more individuals acquire value other than the mean character value, that is two periphery, or disrupt no other than the mean character value, that is directional, that is one sided. Okay, the graph moving to the right side or either to the left side, or disruption, that is more individuals acquire peripheral character value at both ends of the disruption curve. So this is like the disruptive. Okay, now brief account of evolution.